In this video, we'll learn noun clause. Before learning it, we should be knowing what is a noun. We know that a noun is a person, place, thing or idea. And what is a clause? A clause is just a group of words that has a subject and a verb inside of it. A noun clause is a clause that can be used like a noun, and it is used within a sentence. It can function like a noun within a sentence, just like a subject or an object inside of a sentence. So here is a sentence or a clause, I know John. Here is the subject, I, and then this is the verb, subject and verb. As I said that this one, I, is a subject over here and know is the verb, and then this one is the object of this clause. This is actually a complete sentence, and this is a noun over here in this sentence. It's a person. A noun is a person, so we can replace this noun with a noun clause. So let's look at these two sentences over here. And if we look at this sentence and focus on its ending, here I said, I know that John is funny. So this is a complete sentence that has a subject and a verb, and then from here to here, that John is funny is replacing this noun in the previous sentence, that was John. I know, this remains same, I know remains same, but this whole clause that has got a subject and a verb, and it fulfills all the criterion of being a clause, so that John is funny, this is replacing this noun, I know John, I know, it remains same, that John is funny. So it's a clause number one, because it has got a subject and a verb, and at the same time it is replacing a noun, or it is being used in place of a noun. It starts with that John is funny, so it is a noun clause. As I said that it's the noun clause starts with that, which is a signal that it's a noun clause. Normally a noun clause starts with that, and it's a clause, as I said, it because it has got a subject and a verb. Here is the subject and here is the verb. So I know that John is funny, it's a noun clause, that John is funny. So this clause functions as a noun by replacing the noun John. Another type of noun clause could be this one, I know, this is the subject and this one is the verb, where John lives. This particular sentence is acting like a noun over here. This particular sentence has got this clause, and as I said that this is acting as a noun inside this particular sentence. It has got a subject and then verb, and then this is the object of this sentence. So I know where John lives. Where John lives is acting like a noun within this sentence, but it's really a clause within itself because it begins with WH question word where. This is WH question word. It begins with it and it has a subject and a verb that is actually the criteria to be a clause. So I know subject verb and then where John lives is a clause that is being used in place of object or in place of a noun. So once again this is another type of noun clause. And the last kind of noun clause we can make is one like this. I need to know if John is funny. This is the subject and this one is the verb. I need to know if John is funny. So we are beginning with if, or we may use whether in place of this one. We may replace if by whether. So this can also be used in place of if. So I need to know if John is funny. This is the subject and this one is the verb, and it is actually a clause because it has got a subject and a verb. So it starts with if or whether, and then it has this subject and this verb inside it, and this is replacing a noun, but it's a noun clause. Now, there are three types of noun clauses that we can create. First type is the one that starts with the word that. This is the first type, number one. It begins with the word that, and after it we have a subject and a verb. Now, because noun clauses act like nouns, they could be the subject of the sentence or they could be placed after the verb. This is the verb of the sentence, and we know that this is the subject, and this whole part that John is funny, it's a clause and it is being used in place of the subject of this sentence. So that John is funny, and then this is the verb of the sentence. That John is funny is obvious to me. But here we can see the noun clause being used at the end of the sentence. In this particular sentence, it is obvious to me that John is funny. It can be used in the beginning of the sentence, or it may be used in the end or at the end of the sentence. It is obvious to me. This is the subject and then this is the verb. It is obvious to me what? That John is funny. It has got the subject and a verb. It's a clause and it is being used in place of the object, which can be a noun or pronoun. So it's a noun clause. It is obvious to me that John is funny. What's obvious to me? That John is funny. This is obvious to me. These are few words that are used as verbs with noun clauses. The verb are think, believe, or we may use hear, or it may be hope, and then we may use know, and then read, or it may be remember, or it may be understand, etc. So this sort of words, these verbs can be used in order to develop, or in order to use a noun clause. For example, if I say, I think that he is a poor man, we believe that Allah is great, we hope that he will do his best. So we can use these verbs in order to develop noun clauses. At the same time, one more thing, we also use noun clauses after adjectives, and the adjectives may be surprised, or it may be amazed, or we may use confused. We may use this one. And similarly, we have more words like glad, proud, and we may use sad, etc. This sort of adjectives that have feelings in them, they can also be used in order to develop, or in order to have a noun clause. So these are the clues these are the adjectives which reflect some personal feelings, and we can use them in order to have a noun clause. For example, I am surprised that he is arriving. We are glad that he is going to be the co-host. Similarly, we can use other words as well. Now, the second type of noun clause is like this. I know Sid. If this is the subject and this is the verb and this is the object over here, then I can say that I want to know Jane. I know Sid and I want to know Jane. So over here in this sentence, this is the subject and this one is the verb. I want to know Jane. So it's not a question, rather it's a statement. If I say I want to know who Jane is, this is a statement. This is not a question. I want to know who Jane is. So in place of Jane over here, that was the name of a lady or a girl, it is being replaced by this, who Jane is. That has got a subject and a verb, and it's a clause, and it is replacing this lady. So this is the name of a lady, so it's a noun clause. So it is being replaced by this clause, and it was noun, and so this is noun clause, because it's no more now a noun, it's having a subject and verb. I want, this is the subject of the sentence and this is the verb of the sentence, and then I want to know who Jane is. So this is going to be the noun clause. So as I said that here Jane is a noun, we can replace it with a noun clause. I want to know who Jane is. It's not a question, rather it's a statement. I wonder when the teacher will grade our papers. This is the subject of the sentence and this is the verb of the sentence. And then when the teacher will grade our papers. So this is having a subject and this is the main verb, this is helping verb, so it's a clause. I wonder when the teacher will grade our papers. Remember not to put a question mark at the end of the sentence. It's not a question, it's a statement. I wonder where he went. Subject, verb of the sentence, and then from here to here, where he went. This is the subject of the clause and this is the verb of the clause. So subject and verb, it's a clause. So it is replacing a noun. I wonder where he went. Again, it's a statement, not a question. So this is a noun clause. So one more tricky situation before going to the third type is that if I say, do you know where he went? Do you know where he went? I'm going to put a question mark because it starts with this question. Do you know where he went? So it's a question we have to put. It's no more a statement because it starts with a question, or it's a yes no question. This is not a statement, rather it's a question, and we have to put this question mark. That's very tricky, and this is a situation where people often commit mistakes. This type is based on yes or no questions. Yes, no questions. These are not information questions. These are actually, we are going to have yes and no question, and we have to use if or whether. I wonder if you are hungry. This is the subject and this one is the verb of the sentence, and then from here to here, if this is the subject of the clause and this is the verb of the clause. So I wonder if you are hungry, this is a noun clause. I wonder if you are hungry, it's replacing the object. I wonder whether you are hungry or not. In writing, we prefer to use whether in place of if. I wonder, subject, and then verb, and then from here to here, it's a clause and it's a noun clause. But whether you are hungry, we add or not, we may add this at the end, or whether we may put it over here, whether or not you are hungry. So we prefer to use whether, and it's a noun clause because this is the subject and this is the verb of the clause, which is replacing the object of this particular sentence. I want to know if he called me. This is the subject, this one is the verb, and if he called me, this is a noun clause because it is being used in place of the object, which may be a noun or pronoun. If he called me, this is the subject and this is the verb of this clause, and it is being used in place of a noun.